A long, long time ago, in a far and distant place, a wise philosopher was studying the story of creation, and he wrote, "There seems to be an absence of a certain ornithological peace regarding mass awareness of a certain avian variety."
What are you talking about?
Oh, have you not heard? It was my understanding that everyone had heard.
Heard what?
Brian, don't!
Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. But bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. But bird's a word. Oh.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Bird, and Bird was the Word. So a lot of people think this theon and theos mean God, but this is God with a little g. That's not a capital letter. You'll see when it's capitalized, it'll look more like this. That's a capital T, TH. But it comes from this word, theo, theity. The D and the TH share. And so this is the Bird that was the Word. Word is that he wrote everything. Everything that's ever been wrote come from deity. And so this Bird, what this is about, is the Bird is the Word. If you join the Navy as enlisted, you go in as an E1, you don't even have a strike for a 1. You got your E2, your E3, and you ain't telling nobody shit until you make an E4. Then you get your Bird. Then you have a little control over something. And so these are all the birds, all the upper rank. This is the Word. That's what he said. The captain of the ship is always the Bird. It doesn't matter if he's just a chief petty officer running a small landing craft, a ferry, or if he's an admiral. He's still the captain. He's the Bird. And the Bird is the Word. And I think it was here in 1 Samuel 15 where I found it says, the Bird is the Word. But here's a big old clue right here. Of the Word is debris. And so this is not the Word, but it's of the Word. You can see that there was once a B-I-R-D there, and somebody took of it, and of the Word is the debris. But the Word is the Bird, D-B-R-I. And they'll tell you this is the way that some cartouches read. You see how they reading from the inside here. This Tutankhamun is coming from this Tut, Ankh, and Khamen. The Tut, Ankh, Khamen. They read it from the inside out. Reading order for 3-symboled cartouches. In many New Kingdom examples, symbols can be stacked. Typically they are read middle, right, left, or middle, bottom, top. The middle, and the bottom, and the top, the Bird. So it's actually a number. And in order to make it back into the word, you have to make the complete circle. The B is a 2, and the D is a 4, you got a 6, and the I is a 10, you got a 16, and the R is a 200. So the Bird, the debris, is a 216. 216 is the ancient spell of levitation, the frequency used in relaxing meditation, known as the B, the buzz. It's an A 1 octave lower than 432. It's a cat's purr. Cats purr to heal themselves. The frequency of a honeybee is in the note of A. It has also been shown to levitate something on the scale. The Bird is the secret to levitation. And the Lord, is the Bird. I-E reads as a A, and this reads as a A-V-E. And the reason they do this is because you can't start a word with A, or it reads backwards. And this becomes a karma. The karma AV of its vout. Its vout. It's devoted to karma. Thus says the Lord of hosts. The karma of its vout. And so if they want to start a word with A, you use the IE. So in wartime, the captain commands with numbers. You'll see it on football field, the commander out there, the captain, he hollers numbers. Green 32. The commands. And it's because it's supposed to be secret. And if you didn't have the number code book, you despised the numbers and names in it. And then the A followed by the E reads as it is, ES. And it is in each rhyme too. And column no key. The L followed by the A reads as N. And column no key don't have the key of the numbers who names it is each rhyme too. And you'll see this in the book of genealogy. The Z is and is the cipher told it. And backwards, the M becomes the S when it's a final letter being first. And said, and is the cipher told it, said of, and the I followed by the vav becomes an N, and the number, and then A, and read backwards, the number as, and an IE read as an A, and L followed by the A becomes an N. And is the cipher told it, said of, the number as on. And if you're reading it with the marks, the A words head on, it's is the cipher told it had 'em and Benham Braille. The double A, the second one reading is a Y, B-R-A-I-L. The Braille they made, they M-A-D, they made 'em. A bid 'em what? To bid a number. And so that was the Egyptian numbers. They're all in Benham Braille. You see that in the old Mayan and the old Egyptian numbers. They were Braille. Is the cipher told it, had 'em Benham Braille, they made 'em, bid 'em what? All they mosa too. And just think of that as, an old American-made Indian movie, the way they say the Indians talked. Same thing thousands of years ago. Is the cipher told it, had 'em, Benham Braille, they made 'em, bid 'em what all they musta too. And so when you look down here at the ages and the numbers, it's always a rhyme. And at 40 years, that's from a job and resign. 40 years at a job. And you'll see this is the title of the book of Numbers, in Midiver. And you'll see that here, in Midiver, and the Dibber in the Word. And so they'll say this bum dibber. They say it means the wilderness, but it also means the pasture, the inhabited land. They'll give it desert sometime. The mouth, you see that last one, mouth, as an organ of speech. But if you look at a map where all these numbers are supposed to be, there is no desert there. There is no forest. It's all vineyards in the valleys between the mountains. And what it says is why, meaning how or who, and a D is who'd, brave, B-R-A-V-E, a brave, names, N-A-M-E-S. Names is old Egyptian for powers. Once they got your name, they take your power. And who'd in rave, names have made of versing. And who'd have raved the names have made versing. And in an AE, come ES. In a Selimwood, in the tabernacle of the meeting, is where they sell the names. In Selimwood. And batched, BACHD, and Selim and batched. Leads. A sign. In sign. The N followed by the E. You read an I before it. SINE. Ensign, in the year. Ensign is in it. Let's Adam. And the second M reads as a Y. Yards. It's where the word vineyards come from. The sun's land. In the yards. From a creme. A creme is a vineyard. From a Kremen-emmer. Somebody who makes wine. From a Kremen-emmer. And it's where the word a criminal comes from, because it was a crime in the day to make alcohol. A Kremen-emmer. And you also see this in the book of Acts and in the book of Chronicles. The words of the days is how they interpret that. And they interpret this as the rest of the acts of Abium. And so this is the navy. This is the father of the sea. You see a AVI, AVY there. And they're getting this as Ab is the father and M is the sea. And so the rest of the acts of Abium, that all he did not, they written in the book of Chronicles, of the writings of time, the writings of the days, of the kings of Judah, and war there was between the father of the sea. And you see where it comes from now here, by and navy. By navy and move, M-U-V, move in or in them. Transported by the ocean, by navy, bringing Marines in, in the war. By navy, move in or in them. But this reads two different ways here. And this, what they say is not written, is coming here, why, how tread, T-R-D, tread, your tracks, and in, and then the I followed by the A becomes a U, a vav, rub, R-U-B, a rubbum, rubbish, ruins, removed, rubbed off, and whose tracks, who tread and rub them, and colors, backwards and forwards after this tack, and the colors as rose, rose. Rose has multiple meaning. When you rise the rose, it means this isn't supposed to be spoken of, under rose. Don't talk about what you see and hear. And as rose. And the double H here, the double E, the second one is an I, is hilt, H-I-L, and the vav aleph becomes a T-E or a D-E. Hilt means with a sword on your side. And the colors as rose, hilt, and then backward and forward. And so the as, the M, a final M read backwards is the S. And this is a S-E-M, Shem. Shem is the name. And hilt as 'em, a cut of 'em. What's cut in? The cut of 'em. All and backwards, rips. The rips part. And all rips part. This is why it was not written in the book of time. Is because they removed it. Was tread of, was your tracks and rub 'em. And the colors as rose, hilt, ism cut of 'em all rips part. Or rips part in the ray. R-I-E, read as a and a Y. And the ray, and a M-I-M is a E-N. In the rayin. The rayin is the day, is where they're getting this. They say this means day. They're getting this from the Jimmy, or just the I-M-I, they say is the day. And the I-M-I-M, they'll say is the days, but it's not. It's the rips part in the R-A-Y-E-N. M-I-M is an E-N. It's the Egyptian symbol for waters, and it's pronounced E-N. The Rayin, the sun in. And rips part, that's days. To malice. Malice means to raise the mace, you know. When he's at war, he's creating malice. You know, when he's on the way to war, he's just carrying his mace. But when you raise it above your head, you know, it turns that word into malice. And to malice. And the double I, the first one reading is an E, the malice. And the I-E reading is an A, you know, the malice, H-A-V, have. And doom, D-E-W-M. And the kings of Judah in war there was. The days to malice have doom will come. The doom will come. This is where alchemy comes from. Alchemy is when you mix this and that and what comes of it, you know. This is where the word bread comes from. They'll say bread. If you have bread, they will come, you know. And the doom will come. And then the double H, you know, double E. The second one reads as a I. And this is Hyatt. Hyatt. And it's like the Hyatt Regency. It comes from a word that means the high land. Somebody who lives at the highland, at the gate, at the high gate of the city. You know, and it will come a Hyatt. It's high time, high noon. Usually when you're going to meet somebody for war, it's I'll meet you at high noon. Clock strikes 12. And the doom will come Hyatt. And by Navy, N-A-V-Y, that's where they're getting this father of the sea. You know, and they come by Navy, moving her in them. By Navy, moving her in. These are Marines. That's what the Navy does. They bring in the Marines. You know, the Air Force brings in the Army. The Navy brings in the Marines. By Navy, moving her in them. Moving her in them. You know, they'll say the people increase because they're coming by boat. By Navy, moving her in them. And when you read this the other way, you ignore all these marks and you just read these A words backwards. And it's why tread in rise above the color so as hilt ism, you know, the AE reading is ESEM, as hilt ism, a cut of them all and spared in the days, the ray in. To malice have doom will come, high it of in, and CN of banner in them. And so that's, you know, the Navy's job is to CN of banner in them. You know, it's my job to see that they get there. To see that they get banner in them. So Moses, you know, it's either the names or the powers. You know, names means powers in Egypt. You know, everybody in Egypt that had power, they wore the names, the royal headdress, and they were Hud, wide, hood in rave, and backwards the names, and telling, and telling her, and the onomer, and telling on you, and hood in rave, and names, and telling her onomer. That's what you call your sister when she tells your mama, you a big old telemonomer, a telling her the onomer. I say if you want to learn to read the ancient Hebrew, watch the Roadrunner and learn Roadrunner Latin. Oedipus almost anythingus. And that's your little sister in Roadrunner Latin. Hoot in rave names, the telling her the onomer. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.